14 regions are competing at MSI 2018. That means 14 teams with their own histories, rivalries, and star players. With so many champions hitting the international stage, let's run through everything you need to know about the non-NA and EU teams competing at MSI this year. Let's start off with Latin America North, where Rainbow 7 lifted their 10th consecutive LLN trophy. But local invisibility isn't without its drama. At Worlds last year, they kicked Gambit out of play-ins, but were unluckily paired against C9 in round 2. For all their hopes of showing that Latin America North has what it takes, they got swept right before groups. After that, Lion faced some legal issues because they didn't own rights to the brand, and then White Lotus, their stellar AD carry and receiver of Jensen Burns, was suspended for 4 months of competitive play for repeated unsportsmanlike behavior. While Seiya is an icon for the region and the only player that's been there for every championship, it's White Lotus we're watching.
The triple for White Lotus, looking to make it even more. He's got the quadra. Oh, they're gonna give it over! The pentakill for White Lotus!
His play at Worlds was impressive, and he's getting unbanned just in time for MSI. The team has all the pieces they need to show that the King of the North is enough to compete for the global throne. Down south, we have Latin America South and their champions, Chaos Latin Gamers. Over the last 3 years, KLG have been to relegations twice, but have also won the championship 5 times. They're not the pinnacle of consistency, especially after their 1-3 record at Worlds last year, but most of the team has stuck together since, and they're hoping that by keeping experience on board, they can keep evolving and make it past the opening stage. Tierwolf will be the key to KLG's fate this tournament. All season, he set the tempo for the team with aggressive invades and snowball attempts. If he succeeds, KLG's roster shines. If Tierwolf falters against the competition though, the team is prone to faltering. Let's move on to the host region of last year's MSI and their team, KABUM. You might remember KABUM from 2014 Worlds, where the fledgling Brazilian team knocked out the top EU seed Alliance.
Triple kill coming in for Tinos, and I can't believe it, D-Man! KABUM takes the game over Alliance!
They've been on quite a journey since then, falling into Brazil's challenger scene and fighting their way back into CBLoL. This year, they were predicted for relegation, but instead, they won 6 out of 7 best-of-3s during the regular season, took home the championship, and booked a ticket for their second international showing. Their run even made fans out of Chinese team RNG. They renamed their solo queue accounts to KABUM player names and gave them a shout-out in a recent LPL match.
KABUM 集合，
集合了，这把巴西精神，
这把巴西团结。
KABUM's AD carry, Titan, has also been raising heads all by himself. The 17-year-old prodigy kills it on Tristana and Ezreal, and his teamfight positioning has gotten him plenty of triple and quadra kills through the season. This was Titan's first split in CBLoL, and he's already a star.
Vai pra cima agora o Serigdum, tenta iniciar a luta. As penas estão machucando muito, mas perde já 3 jogadores. É triple kill já nas mãos do Titã.
Over in Turkey, we have Supermassive. They've been to every MSI on record, but they have only made it to the main event once in 2016. After losing the 2017 Summer Finals to 1907 Fenerbahce in a clean 3-0, the team made 2 roster changes and the full Turkish lineup was no more. They brought in GBM, who had been competing in NA Challenger, and former Jin Air support Snowflower. Combining the power of Korean imports with some of the best available regional talent in Turkey, Supermassive dominated the regular split with a 26-2 record. Snowflower was one of the high-profile Korean players to join TCL this season, and he has been the undisputed best support in Turkey. He plays Janna, Morgana, Braum, Tahm Kench, Shen, Rakan, you name it. He showed 13 unique picks throughout the split, including a support Kennen. Otherwise, keep an eye out for GBM. He's shown off some fun picks in the TCL, including his mid-Alawi, mid-Gangplank, and a rapid-fire cannon Twisted Fate. North of Turkey, we have the Commonwealth of Independent States. Their representatives will be Gambit, one of League's oldest teams and a local icon for the community. They went from struggling in their new region to now two-time champions. In this split, they went nearly undefeated. Gambit even defended their crown in record time. Their 3-0 was so fast that this was the first CIS Finals broadcast in history to last less than 4 hours. But the team also feels the shame of their Worlds 2017 run, where they went 0-4 in the group stage. Now that the LCL is in their pocket, they'll need to show the same strength in play-ins. Kira continues to be the deadliest mid laner in the CIS and all around one of the region's best players. Edward and Diamond Prox might have history, but there's nothing quite like an exceptional mid laner looking for redemption. Now let's head across the Indian Ocean to Oceania. Only 2 teams have ever won the Oceania title, and for some time, the region enjoyed the rivalry between the historic Chiefs and new up-and-comers, the Direwolves. But after the Direwolves won 2 splits in a row, the Chiefs were dying to prove they're still in the game. They refreshed their roster, went 8-2 in the split, and started off the finals 2-0. But the Direwolves kept their internationally experienced players, went 10-0 in the season, and won their 3rd straight finals with a crushing reverse sweep. Now the Direwolves are marching on to MSI, and they might just have left a crumbling dynasty in their wake. Leading the march in and out of game, as always, is Schernfire. He's been the poster child for the Wolves' cocky style, but the team learned their lesson at Worlds last year. Coach Sharp says they know their usual aggression won't work against more advanced teams, so they restructured their roster. Schernfire and King spent the offseason training in Korea. The team got an esports center at a Sydney sports stadium, and they're boot camping in Germany to learn a more controlled attack form. This year, the Schern Wolves are getting serious. Up north, we have the GPL, a tournament that pulls together smaller leagues from Southeast Asian countries, minus Vietnam. They recently graduated to their own competitive region, and now another country gets to shine at the GPL, Thailand. Their 3-time winners, Ascension Gaming, had a 13-1 regular split, and they're probably the most flexible team going into MSI. Rich switched from jungle to fill in support. Lloyd has been swapping from top to AD carry, and Intresso has played every role at a competitive level. Maybe it'll help their team coordination, but most people are worried Thailand just isn't ready to fill Vietnam's shoes. If they are though, it'll probably be because of what stability they have. AD carry Lloyd and mid G4 were part of the Bangkok Titans roster that went to Worlds in 2015. Both have been doing solid work, but with that said, there's a lot of eyes on Intresso. He shined during the GPL, and the pressure's on him to be the region's new jungler icon now that Levi's moved to 100 Thieves and NA. As for Vietnam, they actually won't be sending the Gigabyte Marines this year. It may have been their fierce international performance that helped upgrade the region, but the Marines mostly broke up after Worlds. The new roster plays second in playoffs, and the VCS will be sending Blitz Esports instead. They've got big shoes to fill, but their 12-2 season record isn't a bad start. Some would say jungler Yi Jin is the singular guy to watch on EVOS.
Red Sky cũng gặp nguy hiểm, không tốc biến, không vô la băng và nằm xuống.
He managed to win both Rookie of the Split and MVP of the Split this spring. But really, we're looking to the entire EVOS lineup for some surprises. With experience that spans from the recent Gigabyte Marines to the ancient Saigon Jokers, there's still plenty to see from the young team. Nearby, we have the LMS, where the Flash Wolves have claimed 5 straight titles and are preparing for their 3rd straight MSI. The team made it out of groups the last 2 times, but a disappointing performance at Worlds last year shook up the roster. Star jungler Karsa left for the LPL's Royal Never Give Up, and since then, Flash Wolves have added Korean jungler Mujin and native top laner Hanabi. Communication and team synergy were shaky at first, but it really came together in the second half of the split when it mattered most. And the Flash Wolves managed to sweep G-Rex 3-0 in the LMS Spring Finals. Betty was definitely the team's main carry going into last year's World Championship, but his inability to effectively teamfight in a late-game meta sunk the Flash Wolves. So this spring, he learned to play more aggressively in the laning phase with Sword Art and challenge his mechanics in teamfights. Now he's more experienced and ready for his second shot at the best AD carries in the world. Betty's AD carry pool knows no bounds, but look for him to redeem himself and the entire Flash Wolves name on Xayah and Ezreal. Moving up to Japan, we have a classic rivalry. Detonation Focus Me and Rampage are the only 2 champion teams in Japan's history, and their scoreboard swings like crazy. Detonation Focus Me won the first 3 LJL titles, and Rampage won the next 3. Then this season, Rampage renamed to Pentagram, and right before the split started, got penalized for issues with their player residency cards. They had to forfeit a game in half of their best-of-3s this split, and their early season tanked as a result. Meanwhile, Detonation Focus Me went 10-0 and were favorites to win playoffs and finally represent Japan again. But then, Pentagram's penalty ended, they climbed back to 3rd place, made it to finals where they 3-0'd DFM to win the MSI spot. Yutori Moyashi is still an AD carry to watch, but we have to give props to top laner Paz this time around. He spent the season bored on tank top laners but came into finals on carry champs and took down what was thought to be Japan's strongest top laner. He turned heads at home and is itching to do it again at MSI. Next up is China, where history was just made. In 5 years and 8 splits, AD carry legend Uzi had infamously never won an official title. But this split, alongside RNG and MLXG's Pocket Nocturne, Uzi finally got to lift that cup. And he was kind of excited. RNG had to claw their way to the finals, especially against season favorites Invictus Gaming.
RNG head to the grand finals. The team that everyone was afraid of to meet at MSI, IG, dominant spring split.
IG dominated them earlier in the split, but just before playoffs, their top laner, The Shy, suffered a hand injury, and without him, RNG managed to make it to finals and beat longtime rivals EDG.
Royal never give up! Champions! And they will take on the world at MSI!
RNG did move away from their Uzi-centric playstyle last year, focusing more on mid laner Zhao Hu. But China's most iconic player just shook off a 5-year curse. Let's see if he can carry that into a second MSI win for the region.
Duke's the only one left alive! Get the Penta! Penta kills Uzi!
Last but not least, the LCK will be sending their first ever non-SKT team to MSI, Kingzone Dragon X. They dominated the spring season with a crazy 16-2 record and have been undefeated since February this year. It's all thanks to ridiculous laning pressure from Khan, macro-level map dominance from Peanut and BDD, and the experience from Prey and Gorilla. Some experts are expecting KZ to be one of history's greatest teams, comparing them to the mighty 2015 SKT. But Kingzone has yet to win any international trophies, with a surprise knockout in the quarterfinals of Worlds last year. With SKT sitting home after a troubled season, is Kingzone the new king of League? They'll try to prove it at this year's MSI. Keep an eye on Peanut this MSI. When he was back on Rocks Tigers in 2016, he was mechanically gifted but a little inexperienced. After a year on SKT though, he's reunited with ex-Rocks teammates as a veteran jungler who can carry with mechanics and a heavy invade style supported by his strong solo laners. He spearheads Kingzone's early mid-game snowballs alongside Gorilla and ruled this season as the best jungler in the LCK. Look out for his early game plays and don't forget about his Baron seals. He's pretty good at those.
That's ready to go. He's gonna go charging and look for the seal, and he's gonna take it away right out from under their noses.
And there you have it, the stories and major players behind all 12 non-LCS teams going to MSI. Hopefully, this primer gives you some new teams to watch throughout the tournament, and maybe even an underdog region to root for.
For more league interviews and analysis, subscribe to our channel. You can also find stats, discussions, and more on our website and mobile app at blitzesports.com.